Better and transparent forum for meaningful business relationships and partnerships. This event is brought to you by Tata Tele Business Services. It's the country's leading enabler of connectivity and communication solutions for businesses. With services ranging from connectivity, collaboration, cloud, IoT, security, and marketing solutions, Tata Tele Business Services offers the largest portfolio of ICT services for businesses in India. I would like to welcome our lovely panelists who've joined in today. After I call out everyone's name, let's give them a round of applause. I know this is a virtual meet, but let's build that energy. Let's build that energy. We have Mr. Satya Prabhakar, the CEO of Sulekha. We have Mr. C.K. Kumaravel, co-founder Naturals.
Thank you.
Mr. Suresh Krishnamurthy, President and CEO, India Siemens Capital. Mr. B. Surendar, the COO and Director, Red FM Network. We also have Mr. Vinit Srivastava, CEO of Sebille Education Group, who will be joining in shortly. I now invite Mr. Kalidas KS, VP SME Operations South Region, Tata Teleservices, to deliver the welcome address.
Yeah, thanks, Anmol. Good afternoon to all. I'm Kalidas Pai from Tata Teleservices. Warm welcome to all of you for this CXO Roundtable. And I'm very happy to connect with you all of you in this virtual forum, Virtual Connect, which we believe is a new way of living in the current situation to get a better effectiveness. And what I would like to touch upon is what we have seen in the last 6-8 months in the economy across the geographies, and what really change we have seen happening across the consumer behavior, and just try to get away what is the key learning from out of this, whatever we have seen. As we have seen, this pandemic has come as a shock to the humankind and economy. And initially, it was expected short haul. As the days passed through, we realized that we have to live with this virus, and it's become a new norm of living, new way of living around the virus. And as the government has imposed a lot of restriction on people movement, and social distancing norms were imposed. And initial phase, we have seen a lot of challenges across a lot of, especially in SME segment, we have seen a lot of tools coming out because industries are struggling to come back to normal as this the new way of we have to live around the virus by keeping in mind the social distancing norm and other control measures what is put in. As the days passed, the industry was trying to find out how to get back to normal, and we have seen a change in the way industries started operating as well as consumer behavior. That's one thing which we very clearly witnessed across the geographies. And if you see that as the social distancing has come in place and restrictions on movement, work from home has turned out to be a new way of working. And that's one very, very clear change we have seen across industry. Work from home, it was there always, work from home. It used to be a privilege, but it has become a norm of working. That's one key change we have seen in the industry across. And consumer behavior pattern also really changed. If you see, online buying behavior is really scaled up. What numbers talks is that online behavior pattern is really moved by around 45% as compared to pre-pandemic. That's the last 6 months trend. And the numbers what we see, in month of October, November, whatever smartphone sale happened in India, out of 45% sale, buying has happened online. That's a kind of buying behavioral change what we see in the online. So very, very clear evident consumer buying behavior, it is moved to online. And if you see in education sector, which is face-to-face, moved to online classrooms, and a lot of across the industry, we have seen a lot of business models has really changed. And if you see the changes is really happened on adoption of technology. That's what we see. And technology was always there prior to pandemic, but the pandemic actually accelerated the adoption of the technology. That's a very, very key learning for us. If you see the technology prior to pandemic, it used to be a incremental for the business, never and part and parcel of business planning. And we used to work with industry for prior to pandemic, a lot of industry to find out how do we get digitalized, how do we get, but it's never been a very clear part and parcel of business. But pandemic forced to accelerate the adoption of technology to come back to normal. That's the what we have seen in the industries. And in India, pertaining to this, we are able to come back to normal faster, because if you see the last 5 years, in especially in digital journey, India has really progressed. That's what we have seen as the government was pushing digital economy. Uh, and if you see today, we have 85 crores of our population have access to data. That's the numbers. And we have biggest smartphone market today in India. India, the global is the biggest smartphone user market. That's the kind of reach we have. And if you see last 6 months, on an average, data consumption pre-pandemic used to 4 GB per user. This is moved up to 11 GB per user. That's a kind of consumption which is moved on the digital platform. And if the numbers what RBI has put across, our currency consumption also has really gone up by almost 40%. And so that's very, very clear and evident that digital economy, digital consumption by using technology, and is really scaled up. That's very, very key learning for us for the last 6-8 months. And uh, if you see the numbers of the economy, if numbers are right, we are able to really come back to near to the pre-pandemic economy consumption. If you last 2 months numbers, I think we just very, very we are able to get back by, we are able to adapt to the technology faster phase, and our population also able to get access to this, and we are able to come back. That's what we should start believing. I think that's where we are today. And we might have seen prior to the COVID, face-to-face meeting used to be the key. Now it is more to virtual meeting collaboration tool adoption is really scaled. If you see the numbers, whatever collaboration companies, tools provider companies, if it's their adoption of buying of the collaboration tool really scaled up. Not only that, always collaboration tool had a lot of features, but we started using the features very, very rapid. That's what we see in the technical space. And in Tata Tele Business Service, what we try to do is that connectivity is always be there. Along with that, we try to provide digital platforms, virtual platform, and collaboration tools, and security platforms for the enterprise and SMEs in a cost-effective manner, and to help the industry to come back to normal and get the business running. That's what we give commitment to the industries to help the economy to come back. So over to Anmol to take this discussion further.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Kalidas, for setting the precedent for this discussion. We'll now dive into a roundtable. The theme of today's discussion is rising to the challenge with the tech advantage. And I'm joined by a very able panel. We've got the who's who of the industry out here with me. So gentlemen, the format of this discussion is very simple. I have about 4 to 6 questions. Would love to get your views on each of these questions. My first question, a common question to all of you. I want a quick 90-second take. How has the pandemic affected your business and your revenues? Satya, if you want to kickstart this. Yeah, if you can unmute yourself, sir.
Sorry. So before I tell how we've been affected, let me tell you what we do for a living, which is what Sulekha is. Sulekha is a technology platform for service industry. When I say service sector, we don't mean the lower end like cab drivers and food delivery, but services where the expertise of the service provider is of great importance. These are higher end services, which are expert services. Examples would include, let's say, overseas counseling, education counseling, interior decorators, event organizers, architects, lawyers, right, and business consultants, where the service expertise, it is of great significance, number one. Number two is that every customer need is very different. In the sense that if you are organizing an event and I am organizing an event, it is very likely the requirements for who we are looking for an event organizer can be very different. If it is, let's say, if it is a corporate party versus an engagement party or a large wedding, right? So there is a lot of requirement of finding the right service provider for a particular need. Right? So that's what Sulekha does. And two things have happened in the sense our business got affected quite severely because the lockdown prevented all of our customers to do business. When they are unable to do business, essentially they were shut for 3 to 5 months, and slowly they're doing it. Even when it opened up the lockdown, there was a lot of apprehension on part of consumers to invite somebody into their home to do work, right? All events were essentially closed. So our customers were severely affected. Many of them went out of business. If they are not doing well, it is very hard for them to pay us money. So our business has gone down by 60, 70% overnight, So it was a very severe hit that the pandemic had on our business. We have recovered since then, about 2 to 3 times. We have grown back up, not to the same level as pre-COVID, but it has gone back up. So we have to take a lot of steps to reduce our expenses based upon that. But the silver lining of this is that we have found ways in which to be more efficient than what we thought feasible, number one. And I'll explain to you later. I want to give opportunity for others. The second one is we found ways in which we never thought before, that these services can be delivered online without people actually meeting. So we found several categories where such things can be done. And I'll expand more as we go along.
Sure. Thank you for sharing that, Satya. As you rightly said, every dark cloud has a silver lining. It's just that are we open to look at it? CKK, how has the story been your end?
Yeah, I think the life itself can be looked at as before COVID and after COVID for the individual, for the company, and for the country. And the salon industry is perhaps the worst affected. Before COVID, people used to look at select a salon based on the brand name, based on the plush interiors, based on the stylist will play a very important role, based on what products we are using, what is the pricing, and what is the offers, and whether it is near to my house or office. These were the criteria they used to select. After COVID, the only criteria the customer used to do is select is look for is it safe for me? So earlier we used to do a SOP for our services, which is standard operative procedures. Now we have changed it to operation standard protocol. Both we imagine both the stylist and the customer to be asymptomatic COVID patients. How can one will not transmit to the other person is the kind of precautions what when you go through a hospital operation theater you will take care. That is the kind of precautions we are taking care. But having said that, still the higher middle class and the higher class people have not stepped out of home in a large number, while the Ranganathan Street and the T Nagar is filled with the people. During the Diwali, the malls were still empty. The people with money and is not really stepped out as yet. It is only slowly, it is only trickling down. So our business has been greatly affected. I used to make a billing of close to 2.5 to 3 crore every month, which is my 10% of my income. And in the last 6 months, I have got 200 rupees.
I'm sure it's going to be I'm not going to take that on face value for sure.
No, it is. I can explain it later. I'll just come back to it later.
Okay, sure. We'll come back to it. I like the shift from SOP to OSP. We will, delve more deeper into that. Surendar, how have things been for the media industry?
I think media has this unique dual role. It's not one is internal, one is external. I mean, let me talk about listeners and then come to the internal company issues where advertisers and our sources of revenue and businesses involved. I mean, the external environment, as far as external environment is concerned, we had an extremely good time in terms of connecting to listeners. I mean, all of a sudden the pandemic came in around the middle of March, but we could quickly adapt to it using technology and make our radio jockeys work from home, and but at the same time do their job properly. I mean, in terms of connecting with the right people, to create awareness, to help them with in service aspects, to service the common man, and in connecting them with various people. I mean, whether it's COVID patients inside the isolation wards, to reveal the fact that the government hospitals are not all that bad, really. I mean, as people would fear. I mean, we went into the hospital and they gave a feedback. I mean, through phone, of course, and they gave a feedback which was very different from the real apprehensions of people that you can't get into a government hospital and come back without a different kind of a health issue. I mean, but the experience was just the opposite. To hear it from the horse's mouth was really good, that we could access patients, doctors, and a whole lot of experts, the authorities who were at the time of the peak lockdown, the first 2 months, who were actually very active, whether it's the police or the civic authorities, in providing service that was required to share the information and create awareness was the radio's main job. And also some really touching personal experiences in terms of, an 82-year-old man in Bangalore, getting stuck and nobody else at home, and all of a sudden he could not access his food or medicine. And then we could go through the authorities and find out which police superintendent is in charge of taking care of that service, and then connect that man to the service. And he was one, Mr. Iyer, and he was extremely pleased. I mean, within a few hours, we could get him things. Same way, I mean, whether it's distributing masks to policemen, to a lot of other service elements were also involved as a radio station for us. And we really enjoy doing that. And in fact, whoever could come to the studio could come to the studio, but otherwise also it didn't affect our work, because radio jockeys using technology should, from the comfort of home, could do their job properly. I mean, it was really, and nothing like coming to a studio and doing the job, but then the next best is to do it from home. And we use technology to try and make it as real as possible. The other side of it, which is our own business and our own employees and things like that, I mean, that got severely affected. We belong to the service industry, and we are connected to the fortunes of the other industries. And, when our customers are affected, who are from various industries, almost you name it, we have it. I mean, when they are affected, it naturally has an impact on us. And we depend around 75% on ad revenue. And ad revenue is always, marketing budgets and top-up budgets, or normally top-up budgets, and people tend to cut down on it as a precaution till they get some kind of assurance, that things are back to normal. So the first 3 months was really bad, and 60 to 70%, like Mr. Satya was mentioning, was a hit we had to take. And then, gradually, the Q2 of this financial year was recovery, starting of the recovery period, and things were getting a little better. But I would say the real recovery is in the last 2 months. And October and November, in fact, November we could do better than last year, thanks to Diwali and so many other factors. But the real situation is we are at around 70 to 80% of what we were pre-COVID as of now. And at a YTD level, it could be lesser.
Sure. Surendar, looks like you're having an extended Diwali for now. At least I can see that smile on your face. Moving to Suresh. Suresh, before we got started, you were mentioning this is a good forum, to let go whatever's been troubling you, to express it. Go ahead, share with us how the pandemic has been for your business last 6-7 months.
Yeah, actually, see, we are part of financial services. In particularly, I'm having two segments. One is foreign exchange, that is providing foreign currencies, international travel cards, and students remittances, like that, So totally that depends upon inbound as well as the outbound travels happening. Due to COVID, you know very well, right from January, the travel industry gone into turbulence. But as far as India is concerned, from March, really is a big hit. We never thought it will be such a big hit. Actually, We have even met 2008 financial crisis, because the other segment what we are having is I'm an intermediary in the NSE recognized intermediary in the stock market. So we had a 2008 debacle financial crisis. Of course, it is only a one-day affair. If you ask me frankly, it's a one-day affair, because it has gone, come and gone. Then we were able to come out of that easily. But this one is a very, serious one. From health angle, it started, but finally it hit every stakeholders of this on the earth. It has not left out anybody on the earth. So finally, my customers who are all going abroad, students who are all going for studies. Like that, so many people who plan to go abroad, everybody deferred the program due to the things. In fact, we thought that things may not go as worst as everybody predicted, because USA will contain it, Europe will contain it. But to our surprise, Italy and Spain went into spin in this matter. Then Europe gone totally on this out. Then US, of course, even now it is continuing same situation in US. So because of all these things, what happened? The flights have been cancelled, no outbound, no inbound. So totally I think Mr. Kumaravel, whether he said rightly or not, I don't know, 200 rupees level he has said. But our revenue also dropped, I think almost to zero level for the 3 months. First 3 months, it was very bad. We didn't expect, because I used to do around 900 crores sales of foreign currency. But when it has become zero, I'm really first time in my life, I won't forget this, what happened to my industry actually. Even now, still we are not able to come out of that. Only few people are going because of some selective flights are going to Gulf and other countries. Otherwise, still the traffic is yet to pick up. And coming to the stock is a different scenario, because that digital based technology. So naturally people had a lot of time to work during COVID time. COVID time, they had enough time to do trading in the stock market. I think you would have seen the movement of stock market also during COVID time. It is extraordinarily moving up and up. Today only there was a correction, small correction. So from that, it is evident that people thought, instead of just sitting idle at home, better let us do some trade on the net. So here, technology really helped us to overcome the COVID situation. Otherwise, luckily one segment was positive, the other segment was negative for me. So I was in a neutral platform as far as the impact is concerned. But my main revenue is only from Forex. That's what I want to admit. So when that hit happened, really, we have to do some, or rather take some corrective actions from our side. So naturally, the senior people, we have to sit and think what kind of measures will hold us. See, now almost I am into the sea. I have to hold my breath for our next 2-3 months. That's what my task. So as a CEO, it really pulled my so much energy I have to put into what I have to do for that particular time to come out of this situation. It's a very nightmaring experience, I'm telling you. Frankly, it's a nightmaring experience. Some displeasures will be there, definitely, some people. But we have to do certain things because we have to hold our fort till the things are coming back to the normal.
Right. I like the example that you shared. The water's gone up, but hopefully we'll have the life jacket coming very soon in the form of a vaccine.
Still
let's
we are
hope.
hoping. Yes.
Yes, let's hope for the best, that it comes in quickly. Question to all the panelists. If you see the second half of this financial year, H2 being better, you see your revenues climbing, raise your hand. If you see second half being better, raise your hand. CK, if we can have you as well. Okay. I'm going to start with Suresh itself. Suresh, you see the second half also not picking up, or it's just 2021 that you are looking forward to?
Yeah, because still, international flights have to operate. Okay. So when that happens, then only for me, the things will move. Similarly, students' movement also, mainly all universities, they have now gone for online classes. So people, particularly our Indian contingent, who used to go to US and other countries for abroad studies, they have deferred their plan because they are not interested to spend 30 to 35 lakhs to go through online classes. Instead of that, they prefer only physical direct classes. So their program deferred. So when all these things happen, my trade, still I'm in limbo only. I have not come out of my issue. Of course, we have taken some measures to hold our breath. That's the next part. I think we will discuss that. But primarily, if you ask me, the revenue part, collapsed. If you ask me, now around 10 to 15% of original revenue I'm having, 10 to 15%. That much 85% drop is there in my revenue. Even same thing is continuing even now. Even now, the same thing is continuing.
True, the pandemic has truly humbled each one of us. We just can't wait for 2021 to get started, that psychological advantage. And if someone can just fast forward to June 2021, I think the situation will be much better. CK, my question is, second half of this financial year, is it looking better in terms of numbers?
Yeah, definitely it is looking better.
Yes.
Definitely it is looking better.
Sure. Can you throw more light on this 200? I think that has got everyone imagining what you were talking about.
No, my business model is based on, I run a franchise network where around 700 franchise partners are there. And our business model is 50 lakh is the money invested by each of the franchise partners for the salon. And from there, the cash flow is generated. Using the cash flow, the monthly expenses, which is the salary, rental, products, electricity has been taken care. And the last 5 days is the money which we share between the franchisor and the franchisee. March month, the problem came. The April was full problem, and May was also full problem. So we are not ready for that. And we need to feed the 10,000 people. Okay, the rentals, even though most of the landlords have been very considerate, I should say. Many of them gave us a 50% discount, and so that. But however, even for that cash flow to take care of the people, there was no enough money. So we used all the savings, etc., for the first 3 months and ensured this thing is kept. And each of the franchise partner borrowed. So I did not charge any royalty for the first 6 months. First 2 months, there is no business. Until November, I did not charge royalty. From December month onwards, I am starting. And that is where the 200 rupees is come. It is easy for me to raise a bill and say that you are liable and you are using my brand, give me money. But I don't do business like that. Business is about relationship. If you get the relationship right, you can get the business right. A lot of corporate companies, they don't even see the people. For them, it is raising bill and collecting money. And I don't do business like that. So I don't have any problem. It is as an entrepreneur, as a head of the family, I have taken a very parental approach towards the franchising. If your son and a daughter is struggling, there is no way the parent can say, I want my money. I think that is like Shylark doing the business. Quite a few people do that. I'm very angry against that. I think business is about relationship and all the stakeholders have to be profitable. At one point, if somebody is not making profit, if somebody is struggling and actually bleeding, the other party cannot say, hey, that is your problem. You give me my money. I think that kind of business will not work. And I'm very anti against that.
I love the use of the phrase parental approach to entrepreneurship. I think this is the first time that I heard it, and it makes so much sense. And I think that is the need of the hour. Thank you for sharing that. Satya, as you said, you are in the services space, but now we see a lot of businesses kickstarting their operations. So coming back, do you see your revenues probably going back to what they were pre-COVID? Satya, if you can unmute yourself, please.
Yeah, and we are seeing it back. But what we have also done is that we have, because in April, May, we had no visibility as to when this virus, what are the consequences and what are the repercussions of this virus and how long it will last. I think even now we don't know, right? Because suddenly in many countries, it is the worst it has ever been, right? India also, it is quite possible that things could get worse. The vaccine, we don't know when it will be available to the common people. So it's still, so we took a deliberate call to reduce the size of our operation, right? So within the scope of that reduction of the size, we are growing back up more profitably than before. So we are less concerned about, hey, I used to make $100 before, I need to get back to $100. But it is okay for us to be at $70, $80, as long as we have certain stability and certain certainty about how we're going to manage through this crisis, right? As somebody said, we went through the 2007, 2008 crisis where we had a 20-30% drop in revenues over a 3 to 4 month period, right? But nobody is prepared. Nobody knew how to deal with a 70% drop in a matter of a couple of weeks, right? It's just all of a sudden because of the lockdowns and other things. So when compared to this, the 2007, 2008 looks like a walk in the park, a nice, beautiful day, right? It is. So what we are doing is, of course, it is much better, much more optimistic now than it was 6-8 months ago. And the second thing we are also doing is we have found new ways to become a lot more efficient in the organization itself, number one. Number two is, in this crisis, we have launched new services. For example, we have launched a online education portal called eLearn, where we are creating a marketplace of the best instructors across the country. And we are welcoming entrepreneur instructors, not employee instructors, so that we are providing them with a live teaching platform, brand credibility, and a variety of other things for them to teach. So we have now close to 200 plus instructors, all carefully chosen. All are teaching multiple subjects to people all across India. So we also found a way in which we were able to reinvent and create new opportunities, both for ourselves and for customers.
Sure. Interesting. I think that's given you the space to try and innovate. Sometimes even the wrong train can take you to the right destination. Surendar, my question to you is...
the thing what we find is, in the normal times, you're concerned about taking risks because you're afraid what it will do, the current revenue stream, right? So you don't want to mess with it because as human beings and as organizations, we're all used to certain inertia. So if I go to somebody in my team and say, why don't we make this change? Everybody tries to hedge the risk and say, oh, we can't do that. If we do that, the hell will break loose, right? The sky will fall down. So you also lose the confidence and the courage to make dramatic changes to the organization because you're fearful that something really bad could happen. But in a crisis such as this, when you go to somebody and say, I want to make this change, and they say, well, all hell will break loose, the sky will fall down. You say the sky has already fallen down, right? The hell has already broken loose. So what is there there's no risk to trying, right?
Right.
So you try these things and you figure out that things actually, there's a much better way of doing things than what you thought, right? So it gives you the courage to experiment. It gives you the courage to do new things and to launch new things.
Absolutely. Absolutely. If you're completely down, the only way is to go up, and that's the only direction that you have. Surendar, coming to you, of course, content consumption has gone up, last couple of months, but now do you see a spike in advertisement revenue? A lot of companies are holding back, but now do you see it's opening up? Surendar, if you can unmute yourself, please.
Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely, as I was mentioning, it's a different story starting from October. It's definitely a much speedier recovery, and this time the recovery is taking you a little more closer to the normal. This thing, I would split this into two phases. H1, the objective itself was very different because it took us by shock, and we were not fully prepared for it. We had to adjust, adapt, and then survive. That was the objective. Survival was the objective. But at the end of September, as we got into October, for us, October, November was critical. The festival season is very critical for media. And, the whole objective changed. The idea was to thrive. I mean, with or without the vaccine. I mean, without the vaccine, because obviously that was not expected in Q3. The idea has moved from survival objective to the objective to thrive under these adverse circumstances. Well, not everything is adverse. Certain things are positive, but overall the things were adverse. And what has happened is we made a good recovery in October, November. I would say not just across industry categories, even geographically, our country, we have something like around 70 stations across the country, and that touches the nook and corner of the country. And I have a very good pulse of what is happening. And so not all geographical regions were affected equally. In fact, the tier 2, tier 3, and rural, as I say, of course, we don't go that much rural, but tier 2, tier 3, when you have 70 stations, they were comparatively less affected compared to the metros, the top 8 cities or the top 15 cities. Compared to that, the other cities were definitely less affected. The top 6 were the most affected. And so we could balance it out in some way till we could achieve. In fact, there are parts of the country where we have done extremely well in the October-November phase, where we have grown by a healthy margin on last year. But then, since the bigger cities are also involved in the problem, and in overall net, we are just coming October-November, we were almost equal to, not equal, a little less than last year, 90% of last year. But then we have built a lot of deficits in H1. And now the objective in H2 is to sort of cover a part of it and get back to 100% normalcy. And every month is not a Diwali month, and obviously December to March may not be as upbeat as November. But then we hope to take it as close to last year normal, as possible. Maybe we'll achieve 80-85%. I'm not one of those who thinks that come 2021, all my problems are solved. I have some roots in the pharma industry, and it's not as if Jan 1st, 2021, all our problems are solved. Some people talk as if 2021, 2020 is the villain and 2021 is a hero. I don't think so. I really feel normalcy may happen in Jan to March. It may happen around June. It may happen around August to October even. I mean, we don't know exactly when in India the normalcy would happen and when everyone will be able to get the vaccine and things like that. That's why this strategy of Thrive, puts the whole team internally in our company. We have thousands of employees. They in a more positive mindset and ready to face the situation and try to thrive on it rather than wait for the fruit to fall. I mean, that's going to take a little bit of time. So we are somewhere 3/4 of what we should be. And we are hoping that we can go still further to the normalcy of last year.
Sure. So survive during the bad times and thrive during the good times. I think that's a great motto for everyone. Moving gears to work from home. A question again to all the panelists. Raise your left hand if you think work from home is here to stay. Right hand if you think we'll go back to office once the vaccine is all out. And a namaste if you think it's a hybrid model. Hybrid model, namaste, left hand, work from home, right hand, back to office. We have namaste from Suresh, Surendar, and CK, Kalidas. Okay, everyone's, all the views, going to be a hybrid model. That's pretty much consensus on the panel. CK, do you think that the hybrid model will stay forever? And what are your views on it?
Yeah, I think so. Very much. You're able to hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah. I think the hybrid model is very good to stay. The pandemic kind of situation doesn't require visionary leaders. It requires visible leaders. I think the first thing what the leaders should do, they should be accessible to the people. And they should see you in flesh and blood. That will give them a lot more confidence to come to the office and do the work with a lot more this thing. I think we in India, especially in our salon business, I can say for sure, I may be completely wrong for a technology business, which is actually already very well tuned and they don't require office, they were having office. Whereas a business like ours do require the office space, do require connection with the customers on a day-to-day basis, do require connection with my stylist. If I stay at home and tell them and come back in TV screen and give them lectures, I don't think it is going to work. Because if I want them to work on the floor on a day in and day out, it is my responsibility to come to the floor and tell them, hey, I'm also with you. I think that's what is in my mind is called the leadership is all about. And that's what we are doing. In the beginning, I used to be very comfortable sitting in the shorts and giving lectures and this thing and feel everything is all right. Only to realize, no, that's really not working. So I'm not able to connect with them with the heart of heart. So that's when I realized I cannot stay back at home. Today, I'm coming to the office day in and day out and connecting with the people. Yes, we are taking all the precautions, and that's what is this thing. But travel has reduced to a large extent. See, today we were traveling and going. The time on travel was wasted to a large extent. I think that is being put into proper use. Actually, now we have a lot more time to be available for us to do in productive work. So we can now work 16 hours. We can work across the borders. A lot of things have changed. And I think those are all for the good things for me. But from my business angle, this is how I want to sum it up. I want to be seen in the, if I ask my people to come, then I cannot stay at home.
Sure. As you rightly said, business travel is almost dead. Gone are the days when you would fly to Delhi for a 30-minute meeting and actually spend your whole day doing that. Zoom is the new norm. Suresh, work from home, do you think there is a productivity boost, or it gets difficult to collaborate?
See, work from home concept cannot be applicable or made applicable to all types of industry. Particularly my industry, if you take my line of business, I am into foreign exchange. I have to physically deliver the foreign exchange. I can't do anything online, Of course, I get the orders on online. There is no issue. I can get the payments on online, no issue. But physically, I have to keep the currencies in my office, and somebody has to oversee. Somebody has to take it and go to the customer's place and give it to him. So when these type of physical activities are there, work from home may not be suitable for the entire setup of the organization. Of course, for the back office people, yes, I can push all my things to the applications to the cloud. And from cloud, once it is in the cloud, I can easily access from anywhere, I can ask my people to work from home and they can do. So that segment can do work from home. But the frontline people, very difficult, because my line of business will not allow them to do. When you come to the stock, share trading, yes, most of the things we can do from home. We can do easily, but there also, due to certain procedural aspects, somebody has to be in the office for certain things also, because in India, the problem is still the digital is not heavily used by many people for affecting the payment, for affecting the collections. Still, we are far away from that, even though government is taking it as a movement. But many people still, particularly the old age people, they are not comfortable with the online at all, because they are fearing cyber frauds will be happening, this, that. So they are not coming. For example, if I say you transfer the funds, no, Suresh, you please send somebody to my home, I will give the check. That's what order of the day with those type of people. So that's why I said hybrid. I can do certain activities from office, certain activities from home. But now, as a matter of strategy, because having tested this COVID impact, I am moving most of the things to the cloud, so that in emergency like this, even flood, for example, share trading, I cannot close my terminal, even though flood is there, even though cyclone is there, I have to keep my terminal open. So now what I used to do is I have to keep my servers in my office. Now I am thinking that is very difficult, because who will go to the office when floods are there, cyclone is there? Who will go to the office? So I'm shifting everything to the cloud now, so that people can comfortably concentrate on business, and they can do work from home as far as possible. So we are looking into that strategy. And similarly, we have to replace. In office, normally we used to have desktop for everybody. Am I correct? We used to have desktop only. Nowadays, we have to go for laptops only, so that anything they can take home and do the work. Otherwise, they cannot make use of it. The available infrastructure. That is what we are doing, sir.
Sure. Right. As you mentioned, there are some parts which needs man on the floor, which is offline, which can't be done, but technology can still be an enabler for a lot of functions. Satya, you are largely a technology company. Have you seen a lot of benefits and kind of thought, okay, do we really need an office space full time, 24/7? Did those thoughts come to your mind?
Yeah. The answer seems to vary, because for some level of people who have fairly sizable homes, like a 3-bedroom apartment, where they have the luxury of being isolated in one room and to be able to do things. I think for such people, I think it is the work from home is a really phenomenal thing because you save a lot of time on traveling. You save a lot of time on meetings and other things, when you're in the office. The other advantage is that I am able to connect to a lot more people in the organization than I was able to do before because everything is just one click away, right? And in your mind, you don't think it is necessary to meet somebody to have a conversation, right? You can just meet them via Teams, right? But in some cases, for example, customer support and sales work from home, we are finding it in some cases it's very hard because for those employees who are living in a one-bedroom apartment or a two-bedroom apartment with sometimes parents, kids, it gets to be tough to concentrate on work and to have a conversation without a lot of disturbance. That I think is a problem. I don't think work from home would work for the long run. So that we would move definitely to this. And for the rest, we will make it more as it's a sort of a combination of both.
No, actually, I want to say one more thing. From work from home, the problem is availability of infrastructure. The signals, even in my case today, I lost my connectivity Wi-Fi. Luckily, I had my telephone, so I hooked to the hotspot. So this type of things also hampering the work from home. It's not so easy as we think. Particularly, people are nowadays buying flats at a reasonable price far off from city. There, the necessary infrastructure is not there for the people to work from home because overhead EB lines. So even a small wind, will snap the power connection. Once power connection is not there, your Wi-Fi will not work. So what to do, So I think it's a long way for the Indian, in the Indian context to have work from home. Once you stabilize all these things, then you can think of work from home totally. That to particular industry only.
Right. I think it's going to take some time, but I think it's a step that we have taken forward. As you rightly mentioned, Satya, that you're saying that we don't have the right rooms. Earlier, I think builders were selling 2 BHK plus puja room. This is, I think now this 2 BHK plus Zoom room. This is what I say. That's what they need to sell it as. Surendar, you were talking about RJs working from home, bringing the studio itself home. Do you see cost implications? Do you see operational expenses and the whole logistics coming down if your team is actually working out of home?
Yep. First of all, for me, for our industry in media, work from home is essentially a backup arrangement. It's always a backup arrangement because if you want 100% output, you can be very effective when there's a crisis working from home. But if you want 100% efficiency, 100% output from any department, whether it is RJs or content or sales, I really feel one has to come to office if you want 100% efficiency. In a crisis, you can always revert to work from home and it's quite effective. But then that's not a permanent solution in most of the cities. Having said that, there are selected small cities where we feel it's a viable business model to go permanently on a work from home model, but that's only a few cities which are basically quite small. Otherwise we would, I would any day go for a working from office option with the exceptions given every now and then. Otherwise, technologically, we are not challenged. Whether it is remote access from any function, operations or RJs or anybody. It is not technologically we are not challenged. But if you want 100% output, 100% efficiency, definitely that's not the first option.
Sure. Some of you spoke about digital transformation, and that's where I want to take this discussion to. How did you leverage technology to ensure business continuity? One thing that you did with respect to technology that you never thought you would in 2020 with respect to your business. I'll open the floor. Probably CK, if you want to come in.
Yeah. See, I think the Zoom itself is a perfect example. Internet took 10 years for really reaching a particular threshold level. It took 10 years, whereas Zoom took just 3 months. So that's how much the things can get adopted so fast. In our business, we are using largely for online training. I think that is one supplementary business which is really coming, and
Right.
where we are using technology to a large extent. And having earlier we used to have all the monthly meetings. People used to travel from different places, weekly meeting and franchise meeting and all those things. Those are all now happening in a Zoom in a very comfortable level, and that's the benefit of the technology where we are using in our business at this point of time. However, the main business, which is the cutting the haircut, I don't think we can still do online haircut as yet. But we are using what you call home services has now become a new opportunity for us. I think that is something which has come in as a bonus from this. Lot of benefits in COVID, I should say. Our rental costs have come down, our salary costs has come down, our new project cost has come down. The way in which we are looking at the customers have completely changed. The retailing, we are focusing more on retailing. Online training, so all those things is coming very handy. I believe that the 21 December is going to be a very exciting time. Time for everyone to reinvent. I think all the business needs to be reinvented, physically, mentally, financially, and business models, and that's what we are exactly doing at this point of time.
Sure. Very interesting perspective how technology is more of an enabler. Of course, it can, as you rightly said, a haircut, it's still a very offline play where you need the stylist to be with you. Satya, how did you leverage technology and, of course, some of the new initiatives that you've rolled out?
Yeah, I think the big one is Microsoft Teams, which we started using. I think it's phenomenal. The way we chat with people, we get responses back much faster. We made all the customer service to be available in the app for all of our customers in a much more integrated manner. We are requiring all our customers to use the app. And other one, as I mentioned, is we have launched services. Say, for example, suppose if you want to, for example, one of my friends opened one actually salon. I think CK, I think he got one of your franchises in the city. So I think that's what he mentioned to me. So it took him about 6 months to 9 months, I think, to get the whole thing going. He started talking to me a long time ago. Now, there are a lot of people with entrepreneurial ambitions, right? And they don't know where to start, how to go about it. So they need advisory services. So now we started offering people business planning services. How do you apply for a loan? What all do you need to do to apply for a loan? How do you negotiate a real estate lease agreement? So there are multiple services which we are finding that it can be provided online, right? In the sense, if I am very good at constructing business plans and profit and loss projections, cash flow projections, I don't see why I cannot help anybody across India with that, just by talking to him on Zoom and by sharing files, right? But some reason, 10 months ago, we didn't think that. We thought that the business planner must be in the same as the customer, right? So they have to meet for a coffee and do something, right? It's not required, right? And there are a lot of times you would have thought event organizing requires the person to be there. A lot of times people don't need somebody actually managing the event. They want somebody to help them figure out lists of things to be done, how to plan, how to do this, how to do that. Can all be done online. So we are finding that there is a tremendous opportunity in a lot of business services to be offered online and a lot of learning educational services to be offered online. So it's all technology. It's all technology enabled. So that way we are using technology both for our internal operations to become more efficient, for our collaboration between among employees, and thirdly, to launch new services altogether.
Right.
That's how we are doing it.
Absolutely. It's a complete technology play for you, and happy to know that it's, in fact, working out well.
When you don't have choices, when you don't have options, I think innovation comes out from nowhere.
That's the only option. Innovation is the only option, so to speak. Surendar, from your perspective, how did you leverage on technology?
I mean, other than what I've already explained in terms of running our basic essential service, I think we have ventured a lot more into digital. I mean, radio these days is not just radio. I mean, we are radio plus digital. And, we have almost as much following on digital as we have on radio. I mean, it runs into millions, and it's been doing quite well for us. And actually holding digital music concerts on a big scale across the country and in different languages, and also having FB lives and Insta lives with celebrities, and it was a little more easier to access celebrities. As such, we had access to celebrities, but they were a little more freer during the lockdown time, and we could do a lot more of it and keep our audience entertained through digital. I mean, other than on radio. And I think a variety of things, even cultural festival like a Southside Story, which was an on-ground event, we converted it into a virtual event. It's a cultural festival, and we, other than entertaining them with different kinds of music and cultural aspects on virtually, we also got the food, Southside food delivered at the doorstep in Bombay, Delhi, and all that. So, I mean, that's an innovation. Durga Puja in Calcutta, again, did a virtual plus kind of an event, which was quite successful. All this education fair in Kerala. So a variety of things have been tried, which, as Satya was mentioning, may not have been as actively done if we didn't have this kind of a crisis. We were as such focusing on digital, but this speeded up the whole thing. In fact, so much so that in this lockdown period of April to November, I mean, our FB pages in various languages, I mean, Red FM Malayalam, Kannada, Telugu, Red FM Hindi, and Suryan FM Tamil are among the top 7 FB pages of radio brands in the world. I mean, not just in India, but it's in the top 7. Around 5 of our pages are figuring, competes with the best in the world, like Ryan Seacrest and iHeartRadio and things like that. But this is over an 8-month period that we are leading, and in the top 1 and 2 is ours, and 3, 4, 5 is ours. So there's a lot of progress, that kind of a scale in the kind of progress we have made during this particular period. And makes us extremely satisfied with the way we have adapted to, focused on the digital platform, and excelled also. That's still work in progress, but I can say excelled to a certain extent, at least compared to the other radio players internationally and nationally. We seem to have done quite well on social media.
Great. I think COVID has fast-tracked that growth. In fact, there's a joke that goes around. What has brought about a digital transformation in your business? 3 options. There's CTO, CEO, and the third one is COVID. And COVID is the one, overnight things have changed. Things have really moved fast. Suresh, I'm going to flip the question for you. Everyone spoke about how technology is, ensuring business continuity. And you specifically spoke about cyber security risk. A lot of big companies have had their databases, compromised. Do you think SMEs and Indian businesses are ready to deal with the cybersecurity challenge?
Yeah, of course, in Indian context, this cyber security is still not fit its full form. We are having a lot of problems. A lot of things are happening in the internet. So to overcome that, of course, laws have been enacted, but it's not effective. And as somebody said, when in technology, what we have adopted is that when 2 months complete lockdown, it's a complete lockdown. My industry is a human-driven industry. What to do with the manpower? So what I decided to hook to some good app on insurance mobile app we identified. We hooked ourselves to the mobile app, and we conducted regularly 3 days in a week training program for all staff members about the various insurance products. Similarly, on the other side, we launched a long-term index fund portfolio. The other one is portfolio management fund. Like that, 2, 3 investment options we launched. We conducted training. We conducted classes to investors. Like that, we made the availability of digital for the benefit of enhancing the new line of business. Otherwise, you will be out in this fight. So as far as cyber security is concerned, yes, it is a very, very nascent stage. If you ask me, it is in a nascent stage. It is not in a complete form. So that's why people are afraid of touching or rather using the internet for anything. Nowadays, people are, even some communication comes to you, whether you are not aware whether it's a genuine or not. Even from a bank, with the bank seal, everything, it comes to you with all this, but still you are not able to identify whether it's a genuine or not. So people are confused and people are taken for granted by miscreants to steal their money through this type of cyber crimes. That's why the cyber laws should be more effective. Then monitoring of such activities should be more effective. And there must be a transformation in the minds of the people also to use the digital, because a lot of people are having that, what I can say, some sort of discomfort in using the digital. Even Google Pay, now plenty of places available, but people are afraid of using even Google Pay, because even we use that technology for getting the money from the client. We allotted one number for getting the money from the client through Google Pay, simply, so that he need not go do any internet transfer or anything, just he has to do the Google Pay only. So we made use of that, but people are hesitating to make use of it fully. Still, it is in the nascent stage, so we have to do a lot, educating the public. Of course, digital cash has improved. The way of using the cards, etc., has improved a lot. Plastic money has improved a lot. Still, we have to use the internet fully for the purpose of our online operations of money. That has to take place very seriously. Then only, the work from home will be totally complete. Otherwise, it will be incomplete only.
Right. So we need more digital inclusion. I think that's when we can move to a scenario where, seamless work from home is possible. All right. One strategy that's worked for you that you want to advise a business owner who is watching this, probably I'll start with you, Satya. One key strategy.
One key strategy is to ensure you survive, because to survive is to succeed in this. I think you should not leave out any options. All options should be on the table. And the primary goal is to survive. Is to stay in the sumo circle, right? Because once you step out of the sumo circle, you're gone, right? You stay inside, then you keep fighting. That's what I would say. And look at all possible ways in which that can be done, right? And that has to be the primary preservation, cash preservation, looking at various ways in which you can tap into growth, various ways you can reduce costs, right? I won't name names, but it is a multinational corporation, right, who we rely upon for all of our services, for our technology services, and we wanted them to actually reduce their monthly costs, and we want them to give us time to extend the time over which we can pay their dues, right? And I had to go all the way up to the CEO of the company sitting in the US to negotiate that, right? Which in a normal situation would never happen. It has never happened in our history of a company. So you need to do whatever it takes, right, to be able to stay in the game. I think that's what I would advise.
I love the way you put it across. Do whatever it takes to survive. I think that's the buzzword. Don't get caught up. Okay, my revenues are coming down. As long as you can survive, I think that should do, and surely the good times will come. Thank you for sharing that, Surendar.
Other than the strategy which I already said, that is to go beyond radio and focus a lot more on digital platform, develop an audience equal to that of radio or more on our digital platforms. That's been a strategy, and it's been very, very successful. As I said, we have been able to do that, particularly on social media. I mean, there are more areas to explore, like podcasting and other areas where we can do even better. But the other strategy, very simple, is a people strategy we adapted. I mean, even though we had this huge crisis between April and June, we decided to sort of stick with our key people and retain our people and trust their abilities and the ability of Indian economy and our industry to come back. Because after all, the listenership was going up. It's only the revenues which are going down. So we thought we should hold on to our people and also give a lot of
Yeah, please go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. I think that strategy of trusting our people and investing on our people in a crisis with no clear answer, I think has, on hindsight, even now, even though the full problem has not been sorted out, it's already working. I mean, we could make a faster comeback also because of the motivation levels and mindset of people being in the right place. I really feel that's another aspect which is worked well.
Sure. Build the people, people will build the organization. And I think if we keep the focus on people, it will surely work out. Thank you for sharing that. Suresh, one key strategy that you want to share with our viewers?
This hour of crisis, naturally, as a finance guy, what I can advise is that you have to do a microscopic analysis of all your fixed cost, and wherever possible, convert fixed cost into 50% variable. I have to take along the people also at the same time. We have to survive for long term. So you put in place a strategy whereby people can earn more. At the same time, there should be an avenue for them to earn. So that's, if you put in place at this hour of crisis.
I would agree with that. I think that's a very.
People
I would
will
totally agree with that.
See, if you don't provide anything and you convert 50 and 50 into variable, then they may find fault with you. If you provide an avenue and you leave it to them, maximum revenue to you on this, yes, you are giving a chance to them, but still they are not doing this, then it's not in your hands. So that type of remodeling your costing, that alone will save at this hour of crisis. Otherwise, because revenue stream is very totally, even I have done 10% drop in my income. That means 90% drop in my income, 10% only income. I have done this type of conversions. I saved 50%. I removed the frills, everything. But still 40% gap is there. Please understand. I can't go beyond that. See, cost cutting also cannot be a continuous exercise. Cost cutting can be to some extent only. You can't go beyond that. So now your hands are tied. So the only way is them to earn more through some other avenue to give them sharing of revenue. I think that model within the organization, you should have a franchisee model. That's what I want to tell you.
Sure. So interesting the way, again, you put across different models, but of course, try to cut cost, move fixed cost to variable, and give opportunities to people if they can,
I would agree with what Mr. Suresh said totally, because the biggest problem you would face when you have a sharp drop off in sales is the fixed costs. That's what will kill you, right? And if we can do two-pronged attack, one is to reduce the fixed cost is one, right? You renegotiate everything. And the second one is you convert some of your fixed cost into fixed plus variable. The good thing about variable is if things get worse, if your revenue were to drop, then your variable cost also will drop, whereas your fixed cost will stay.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's the beauty of the model, and I think that's pretty much the need of the hour. CK, one key strategy you want to advise our viewers?
I would say that the pandemic has thrown a lot of new opportunities in front of everyone. We need to grab the new opportunities, try. If it doesn't work, drop it and keep moving with the new one, because we need to, this is the time to take high risk. Ready, fire, aim is the new strategy I will give.
Right. Instead of aim, ready, fire, there is ready.
It has to be ready, fire, aim.
Ready, fire, aim. Yeah, that absolutely. In fact, some of the most innovative companies came during the last depression, Airbnb, Uber. So as CK said, great time, take risks. CK, one more part. How do you build that appetite for risk during these times?
That is, you are an average of 5 people with whom you associate on a daily basis. Identify the 5 people who are always positive, and your life will change.
Wonderful. Those 5 people are on the panel. So all the viewers, if you have to connect with,
absolutely,
it's the lovely people on this panel that we have. Kalidas, I will bring you in at this time. If you can tell us how Tata Teleservices, can help SMEs and entrepreneurs.
Yeah. What Tata, we believe in this, that we are seeing if you ask me last 6-8 months, what we learned out of whatever experience is that one is the building up the capability and building up the cost structure for you to survive is very key. If that is what we are looking, technology is really helping us. That's what we are seeing, because if you see that current way of people working, what industry is telling us that there is a productivity enhancement is happened by virtue of the way people work today. That's what very, very key, what we are seeing across the market and what industries are coming back. Even though it have its own challenge and its own, that's a different story. But in terms of productivity, it's really improved. That's what industry talks. And if you say that that is what we are looking, as Satya sir and other speakers spoke about, cost efficiency and the capability building, and this is what very key. Then technology enhancement is very, very key. That planning should happen for the current and the long term for industry to grow. And so yes, today we are in a global market for every industry to survive and grow. Very, very, we believe very key is that one is that quality benefit and advantage we get across the global products, plus cost benefit is very, very key. If that is what we really want to be do that, and we really want to be there, then we have to really get into technology adoption and planning for not today, for a long term benefit. By adopting technology, what is growing, we see a lot of technologies are coming out, and we see a lot of innovation also happened in last 6-8 months across the geographies. In Tata Tele, what we were trying to do is get these kind of technologies to help our SMEs, especially in SME space, because we believe that's where we really want to help the industries to grow faster, so that it's where our economy will. We want to provide this technology platform, get in and provide to all the enterprises in more affordable way. That's what we want to really help the industries to get this, and this is what we commit to the industries to do. That's what India to do. So we already started getting a lot of platform, lot of tools for in terms of even we today, if you see today, we really want to go and tell SMEs, okay, you want to create a presence across in the environment. We see the internet is really used well. You create a presence in the internet without investing too much. You want a delivery model, you want a payment system, and without you put a lot of effort and go and provide and take it at a nominal cost, so that your business can grow faster. So this is the kind of tools and technology we really want to help the industries to adopt it, so that they grow, the economy grow, everybody gets benefited. That's what we want to really want to do and help the industries to. That's what our commitment to.
Thank you, Mr. Kalidas, for sharing that. All right, before I wrap this up, one last question to each one of you. You're all business leaders yourself in your respective industries. What do you watch, read, and who do you follow as an influencer? Okay, I'll start with Surendar. Something that you read and watch to keep yourself updated on business, and who do you follow?
I mean, definitely I watch, read a lot. I mean, either on social media or otherwise. I mean, I follow a lot of international leaders, I mean, who have been very successful. I think Bill Gates, for his 360-degree vision to business, I mean, amazing. A lot of people talk about it, but then he practices it. I mean, when he is live and, you know, when he's alive and active and energetic, he's spending so much of it. The last few years, he could have easily been the richest person in the world, but he continues to focus on philanthropy, and he delegates his work to people, and he sacrifices money for bigger objectives in life. It's easier for saints to do that, but for business people like him, who was the richest person in the world, it was near impossible till he came in. I mean, there are people in India also like Azam Premji, whom he has inspired, and they're also doing very similar stuff, which is not very usual in India, where we find a fairly selfish crowd dominating, the movers and shakers list. But this is something amazing. I get really inspired by that kind of work. In terms of professional progress, I feel two people. One is Mark Zuckerberg, the Facebook founder. I mean, he had a model where he had a lot of subscribers, followers, but he had to convert it into a revenue model when he went for an IPO. He could, by acquiring companies, by doing many things, he could convert it into a very powerful revenue model. It was something amazing, which a Twitter or many other companies could not. I mean, so many firms could not convert it into something big, but he could do that. And the other guy, of course, the latest is Amazon and Tesla. I mean, the two, Jeff Bezos, are the Tesla owner as well. I think these two guys are also proving, that you can create world-class ideas and organizations. I mean, these are all very inspiring. I read and watch a lot about them, but I also watch Bad Boy Billionaires to avoid what not to do, to learn what not to do.
Interesting series. That was definitely an interesting series. Thank you for sharing that, Satya.
Yeah, so there are two books I'm reading, which is very interesting books. One is called Immunity to Change by one author called Robert Keegan and Lisa Leahy, which talks about why humans and organizations find it so difficult to change. Even though in our minds we know that adaptation is the most important survival skill, right? And how to overcome this resistance to change. It's a phenomenal book. The other one is I was reading a book by an IAS officer. Her name is C.K. actually Gariali, about Kashmir and the land of Kashyapa, right? Phenomenal book, which just goes back, almost, I believe Kashmir is the oldest civilization to be recorded in history, right? Which goes back about 3,000 years old, where Hinduism and actually Buddhism, about 2,000 years old, Hinduism, Buddhism, and Kashmir Shaivism, they all were, peacefully coexisting in a very secular, and it created tremendous amount of art and literature. It's quite fascinating to hear the history of Kashmir going back 2,000 years, where these three actually religions came together. Very inspiring. In terms of shows, my wife and I, we watch, and her mother, right? She's with us. So all three of us watch this Hindi soap called Anupama. I don't know how many of you have seen it. It's on Hotstar. It's on Star. You should watch it. It's only for about 20 minutes each day. It releases one show a day. So very religiously, we all three of us sit together for lunchtime and we watch 25 minutes. It's an amazing show because it's very well written, very progressive in its views, and very tight characterization. So this is what is keeping me busy. Of course, I play actually tennis, and I play chess with my daughter. So other than these two avocations, so it's work.
But I'm sure you're making most of the pandemic. You're doing so much. Thank you, Satya, for sharing that. Suresh?
Yeah, my thing is very, very simple one. My living example, my own Vice Chairman and Managing Director, Mr. Srinivas. I will really learning a lot, still learning from him, the way in which he is managing the entire things. I think he has gone through so many turmoil, so many pleasures, this, that, but still, he holds the fort. That really, gave me a lot of strength, a lot of ideas, how to overcome this type of situation. He's my role model for me always. Whenever this type of challenging situation, I used to think of him, then I know how to do what to do. That's what my inspiring thing, sir. That's it.
Sure. Great to have a role model working very closely with you. CK?
Yeah, the book I read before COVID and also now after COVID, and see how much it is connecting, is 21 Lessons for 21st Century by Yuval Noah Harari, the guy who wrote the Sapiens and the Homo Deus book, where he is predicting a lot of things which is happening at this point of time. We can see a lot of things. He all says that we are now going through the infotech revolutions. Soon the infotech revolutions and the biotic revolutions is going to collide. And that is where the world will find it completely chaotic, and they will not know how to manage it. And that book is a classic, and listening to Yuval Noah Harari is a great trend spotter, and it helps us to spot the trends which is going ahead of us at this point of time. In terms of the what do you call the series, I love that. I recently only connected to the Netflix. I watched that series called Wild Country, where the Osho story. I thought it is a Osho story, only to realize it is Ma and the Sheila story. So it's fun, and a lot of learnings in that episode. Osho is perhaps the last original thinker of the country, but how a woman manages to hijack him is a story by itself.
Great. Thank you for sharing that. A big thank you to all the panelists. Give yourselves a round of applause. Let's hear it from everyone. To anyone who's not done their MBA, all that they have to do is watch this recording, and your MBA is done, because we've had We spoke about product innovation, sustainability, motivation, and thriving, surviving from the industry experts. So again, a big thank you to everyone for taking time out, joining us. It was indeed a very insightful discussion. Thanks again on behalf of the Talk and Tata Tele Business Services. I hope to catch up with you soon offline, in an offline event, having chai and discussing something interesting. I'll see you all soon. Thank you.